What the fuck is this piece of shit? Etchison Dobbs Blair. What a goofy-looking fuck he was.
Stunning and brave. The Last of Us 2 receives rave reviews. 10 out of 10, says the games review industry, despite the leaks that basically expose The Last of Us 2 as a total and utter disappointment and very unfun game. Hello everyone, this is Mr. Obvious, and today on the internet, headline: The Last of Us Part 2, reviews say it's the best PS4 exclusive with over 44 perfect scores. Now, I'm no mathematician, but shouldn't it be statistically impossible for everyone to rate something as flawless? Especially considering the massive backlash from the fans of the series after they learned the horrifying plotline of The Last of Us Part 2. Nothing good happens in this game, and yet reviewers are giving it perfect scores. For example, IGN gives it a 10 out of 10 as a masterpiece.
The Last of Us Part 2 is a masterpiece worthy of its predecessor. Taking strides forward in nearly every way, Ellie steps into the spotlight and carries the sequel in a manner that feels like the culmination of everything that's made Naughty Dog's blockbuster storytelling so memorable.
So what gives? How could this game possibly be perfect? Well, lo and behold, it's not. Now, I do not want to get sued, so I can't exactly discuss the details of the leaks, but let me just tell you, they are horrible. Everything good about The Last of Us 2 has been completely and utterly abandoned. Now look, even if you're on the fence about The Last of Us Part 2, you have to admit the following. If the game was truly amazing, then why are reviewers trying so hard to make you buy the game? Could it possibly be that they were paid off by Naughty Dog, who have a considerable amount of money? They paid them off for these perfect reviews. I'm going to tell you it's probably that. I've got to tell you it's probably that. So we're going to examine exactly what the truth is and why The Last of Us Part 2 is not a 10 out of 10 game, but probably more like a 5. But before we begin, a quick word from this week's sponsor.
Zuck the cuck drinks water like a duck, but he also drinks your data. So tell him and Google to shove your data up their schwing-schwangs by downloading the Brave browser. It's free, blocks online advertising, and protects your privacy and data from evil tech companies. You only see ads if you want to see them, and you get cryptocurrency for your attention. Don't let Zuck use you to make a buck. Download Brave by clicking on the link down below.
And we're back. So let's just jump right into this, folks. Here you can see a picture of angry Ellie. Ooh. Now the first thing I want to start off with is a very simple fact. Despite the fact that this game has gotten so many perfect scores, almost every single reviewer that I've seen says they didn't actually like the game.
It examines a lot of the violence that happens early on, though not all the violence in general, and it's where the story finds its meaning. By the time I finished The Last of Us Part 2, I wasn't sure if I liked it.
Wait, hold up. Did you just say you weren't sure if you liked the game? Now that's a very interesting statement. She says she went through this game and she doesn't even know if she actually likes the game. So you would think that she would give it a score like maybe a 6 or a 7 because that's more realistic with what she said, but she doesn't. She goes on to give the game a great score.
It's a hard game to stomach, in part because so much of who Ellie is and what she does is beyond your control. She is deeply complicated and flawed, and her selfishness hurts a lot of people. At times, the pain you inflict feels so senseless that it can leave you numb. It's all messy and bleak and made me profoundly sad for myriad reasons, but the more I reflect on it, the more I appreciate the story and characters at its core. I wanted almost none of it to happen the way it did, and that's what's both so beautiful and devastating about it.
8. She gives the game an 8. Despite saying that she doesn't even know if she liked it, and everything in the game actually devastated her and she hated it. 8. If you need any more proof that these game reviews are obviously being paid off and the game is actually bad, look no further. But perhaps you're not convinced. Well, let's just look at what The Verge had to say about The Last of Us 2. And I think it's going to open your eyes that this game is not good at all. Here on The Verge, you can see, The Last of Us 2 is uncomfortable, exhausting, but that's what makes it great. Naughty Dog returns to its post-apocalyptic world on PS4, so they're already saying that the game is uncomfortable and exhausting. I don't know about you, but uncomfortable and exhausting is not what I look for in a game. I look for a game that's relaxing, stimulating, energizing, and fun. Most importantly, the game has to be fun. If it's not fun, why should I play? If I wanted to be bored and experience realism and stuff like that, I would just go outside and kick rocks. Even that is more fun than The Last of Us 2. Now let's begin. The Last of Us Part 2 isn't fun. Over the game's 20-hour runtime. Wow, a whole 20 hours? That's definitely worth $60 for a full-priced game. I often found myself wanting to quit because the violence became unbearable. I didn't want to bash that lunging dog with a hammer or slice at that defenseless woman with a knife. I certainly didn't want to watch a religious zealot's head explode into a grisly cloud because of my well-placed shotgun blast. There are scenes so upsetting that they didn't just make me uncomfortable, they made me question why I was playing this game at all. It almost sounds like you hate the game. Yet I'm glad I pushed through, because those dark, disturbing moments are what makes The Last of Us Part 2 so powerful. It's not just a game about violence. It's one that grapples with the impact of that violence and shows the players the consequences. Now, as someone who's read the entire leaks to this video game, I know the whole plot. And let me tell you this. It is horrible. It throws away everything good about the game. It disrespects Joel, most of all. It highly disrespects him to the 9th degree. It is horrific what they do to his character and what they do to him. And then they set up a situation where the main characters are these weirdos that literally were never in the game to begin with. Some side characters, okay, and they're very woke, right? It doesn't even make sense at this point. What was Naughty Dog thinking anyway, making Ellie, not attracted to men? She's the only person, apparently, who's immune to the zombie virus, and she's not even going to reproduce. Now, that's a major plot issue, and they could have tackled that with grace. Like, I've said this before, but maybe she's not interested in men, but she knows that since she's the only one who's immune, the best way to pass on her immunity is to try and have a child. But no, because straight people are bad, and babies are bad. And that's why they had to treat Joel, a straight white male, the way that they did. Because what could be more bad than a straight white male? The Last of Us 2 is completely and utterly woke. And it really takes away everything fun about the game. So, the author of the article continues, The Last of Us Part 2 is a sequel to the acclaimed PS3 game, which transformed developer Naughty Dog, then known primarily for a lighter fare, like the Uncharted series, into a studio able to tackle more serious and resonant stories. On the surface, the two games are similar. The original starred Joel, a haunted man who latches on to 14-year-old Ellie as a daughter figure, in a quest that sees him traverse a post-apocalyptic America in search of safety. It ends with him making a devastating choice to protect someone he cares about. Now, I've already talked about this in my previous video. It basically confirms that the sequel is centered on Ellie, who's now 19, talks about her love interest. Yeah, we all remember that.
Okay, I have a very serious question for you. How bad do I smell? Like a hot pile of garbage? Oh, okay. Oh, how about that? Gross. You love it.
I really don't. Now, one of the things I love about all these reviews is how all of the reviewers are saying, oh, well, I'm not going to spoil the game. Well, the entire game was leaked. The whole plot is online. People know the full plot. And Naughty Dog tried really hard to censor people from telling the truth, going so far as to take down videos that did not show any copyrighted footage whatsoever, simply talking about the leaks and the plot line. They've abused their power. The fact of the matter is, your game sucks, and people don't want it. People who actually know the plot of Last of Us 2 do not want the game. And maybe you should have thought of that before you design your game to be absolute trash. Now, I don't just say this just to say this. I played The Last of Us. I loved that game. But I hate everything about The Last of Us 2, including those god-awful DLCs of The Last of Us 1. Because that's when this all started. It was all downhill from there. So most of the reviewers have the same things to say. It's a lot of the same things. The graphics are smoother, they're better, it's better than the last one. It's better than the last one's graphics, the textures are good, the movements are more fluid. It's all these buzzwords that you would expect from a reviewer who doesn't even play games. You see, that's the big problem with game reviewers. Most of the people who are paid money to review video games don't actually play video games. They aren't real gamers. They don't understand. And since they're paid to review video games from very big studios, of course they're going to lavish these games in praise, even if the games suck. I don't know about you, but I do not take advice on what games to get from people who aren't gamers like me. And then they basically describe how not only does Joel essentially get removed from the picture, but Ellie herself becomes the villain. Now, I already know what they're talking about, and you probably do too if you've seen the leaks. I want to focus on the sentence, but by the end, Ellie isn't the hero she thinks she is. She's not the same person she starts out as. Essentially, The Last of Us 2 has Joel and Ellie face people who are the villains, who are definitely bad people. But then by the end of the game, essentially, the game expects you to see the bad guys as the good guys and our heroes, Joel and Ellie, as the villains. It's role reversal. Oh my god, so stunning and brave. Yeah, if that sounds bad to you, it sounds bad to me too. And of course, let's just finish this off because I don't have the stomach to read through all of this. They go on to say, but this isn't a story where Ellie simply gets her revenge and then rides off into the sunset with her girlfriend. The Last of Us 2 does not have a happy ending. Again, it's hard to say too much without getting into direct spoiler territory, but her single-minded focus on vengeance and her inability to let go cost her a great deal. All of those terrible things she had to do, the decapitated corpses, the bloody hammers, the dead dogs, had a price. And that fact that you're directly involved in those moments make it all more heartbreaking. By the end of a big blockbuster game like this, my mind usually jumps to what will come next, or puzzles over some of the mysteries of the story. With The Last of Us 2, I was just glad it was over. Just like Ellie, I was exhausted. And I'm just exhausted reading this review. But that's merely the obvious. Well, that's all for now, folks. What do you think about this story? I think it looks like a steaming pile of garbage. Now, they can give us all the 10 out of 10 reviews that they want, but I'm pretty sure that this game is not good and not worth your money. So, I'm warning you, this game sucks. But if you are a masochist, I guess you could enjoy it. But let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Now, as always, if you like the content I produce, you can join me on Patreon or Subscribestar. If you want to donate, there's DonorBox and Bitcoin. Links are down below. But if that's not your style, have you ever felt a desire to take back the Holy Land? Introducing the Deus Vult merch line. Get the Deus Vult Night Classic t-shirt. Full selection is available on the merch store. The link down below. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly, if you liked this video, if you think that more people need to know about The Last of Us 2, please consider giving this video a share. Anyhow, thanks for watching. This has been Mr. Obvious, and I'll see you all next time.